The First Lady Chaser by Nat Mackenzie. Author notes, some wounds don't bleed, they harden. This book is not just about church scandal, betrayal, or ambition. It is about what happens when a person survives so much that they stop feeling deeply. Emotional detachment is not always coldness. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is exhaustion. Sometimes it is a response to being used, exposed, betrayal, or unseen. Tiffany did not wake up wanting titles or validation. She woke up wanting security. And somewhere along the way, survival turned into ambition, and ambition turned into detachment. When you grow up learning that love is transactional, you start to protect yourself before anyone can hurt you again. You become strategic, calculated, guarded. But protection can become isolation. This story explores what happened when we chase position instead of healing, when we see crown before wholeness, and when we confuse prophecy with promotion. If you see part of yourself in Tiffany, notice detachment is not the end of your story. It is a sign that something inside you once hurt deeply. Healing begins when we are honest about why we harden. Chapter 1. The Making of Tiffany. Before Tiffany ever chased a pulpit, she chased peace. She was the oldest of 5 girls, no brother, no protection, no escape, just her, 4 little sisters, and a mother everybody in the neighborhood called Peanut. Peanut lived in a Section 8 apartment that always smelled like burnt rice and cheap perfume. The blinds were cooked. The couch had plastic that stuck to your thighs in the summer, and the mailbox was always full of overdue notice. But Peanut never looked worried. She only cared about one thing, money. Love don't pay light bills, she would say, while counting wrinkles, cash on the kitchen table. You better find a man with money, Tiffany. Broke man will break you. From the time Tiffany was 10 years old, she was more mother than daughter. She braided hair before school, signed permission slip with her mama shaky signature, and stretched 1 box of cereal for 5 girls. Peanut was always busy, on the phone, out with friends, or chasing the next man who looked like he had something. And Tiffany learned early that survival had nothing to do with feelings. By 18, Tiffany had grown into a quiet kind of beautiful. Not loud, not flashy, but the kind that made people stare twice without realizing they were staring. Peanut noticed. One humid Friday night, Peanut stood in front of the cracked bathroom mirror, applying bright red lipstick. Her voice echoed through the apartment. "Tiffany," she called, "I'm having company tonight. Make sure you look nice. Put on some makeup." Tiffany stepped into the hallway. "Company?" "Friends," Peanut said shortly. "Important friends." An hour later, 3 men walked through the door like they owned the air in the room. Jason, Peter, Paul. Everybody in the neighborhood knew their names. They were young, flashy, and always had cash. Gold chains rested heavy on their neck, designer sneakers, expensive watches. They laughed loud and moved like nothing could touch them. They were hustler, the kind who made money like no other, as Peanut liked to say. Peanut greeted them with hugs that lingered too long. She poured a strong drink, heavier than usual, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. The men took their seats in the living room while music played low in the background. "Tiffany," Peanut called sweetly. "Come serve the drink." Tiffany felt something tighten in her stomach. She walked in carefully, tray in hands. She wore a simple fitted dress and a thin layer of makeup, just enough to listen to her mother. She kept her eyes down, but she felt it. Someone watching her. Jason. Every time she moved, his gaze followed, not boldly, not disrespectfully, just watching. Peter and Paul talked loudly about cars and money, but Jason stayed quieter, observing. Peanut saw it immediately, a slow smile curve across her lips. When Tiffany stepped back towards the kitchen, Peanut slid onto the couch beside Jason. "I see you eyeing my daughter," she said casually. Jason stiffened. "No, I wasn't looking at her like that." Peanut tilted her head. "So what way were you looking at her?" Jason went silent for a moment. Peanut leaned closer. "Don't she look beautiful?" Jason gazed towards the hallway where Tiffany disappeared. "She looked very beautiful," he admitted, "but she's too young." Peanut laughed softly. "That's okay," she said, voice lowering. "For a few monthly fee, she can be yours." The room seemed to freeze. Jason looked at Peanut, trying to decide if she was joking. She wasn't. Peanut wasn't getting any younger. The hustler liked girls like Tiffany age. If she couldn't have one of them for herself, she would secure one another way, through her daughter. Jason leaned back, slowly, eyes narrowing. "You serious?" Peanut crossed her leg. "I'm a serious woman when it comes to security." In the kitchen, Tiffany stood frozen behind the wall. She couldn't hear every word, but she heard enough. Monthly fee? Beautiful? Too young? Her chest tightened. Something in her spirit shifted that night. That was the moment Tiffany learned she was not just a daughter. She was an opportunity, and opportunities were meant to be used. Tiffany would later grow into a woman who chased title, chased validation, chased a crown that didn't belong to her. But long before she chased a first lady seat, she was a girl whose own mother tried to sell her future. And somewhere deep inside, that wound would shape every decision she ever made. The making of Tiffany didn't start in church. It started in that living room, with red lipstick, strong drinks, and a price tag. Chapter 2. The morning after. Tiffany told herself she was grown. 18 meant grown. That's what her mother said. Jason had started coming around more often after that night. At first, it was small things, text message, late calls, pulling up outside. He moved fast, too fast, but Tiffany had been raised to believe that hesitation was how you miss opportunity. So when it happened, it happened. The first night they slept together, Tiffany tried to quiet the voice inside her that said something wasn't right. Jason was older, confidence, heavy with cologne and authority. He held her like he owned her, like something had already been negotiated without her knowing. The next morning, she didn't feel like herself. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Jason was still asleep beside her, breathing heavy on the nightstand. His phone had been vibrating all night. Buzz, stop, buzz again. Tiffany turned her head slowly. Buzz. She reached over carefully, her finger barely brushing the screen. One name lit up, bold across it. My wife. Everything inside her dropped. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. My wife? Her mind started racing. I slept with a married man. Did Mama know? She had to know. Her chest tightened. Heat rose up her neck. She looked over at Jason, still asleep, peaceful, like nothing in the world was wrong. Something snapped. She grabbed the phone and hit him hard across the face with it. Jason jumped up, disoriented. What the? Your wife is calling, Tiffany shouted, voice shaking. Get out my bed. Get out my house. Jason blinked, confused. What? You never told me you had a wife. Jason rubbed his face, irritated more than guilty. That's not for me to tell. That's for your mother to tell. The words hit harder than the phone. Not for me to tell. Like she wasn't owed honesty. Like this had been business. Jason grabbed his clothes quickly, pulling on his jeans as he headed towards the door. You knew what this was? He mustered before running out to his car. The front door slammed. A few seconds later, Peanut burst into the room. What is all that noise? Tiffany was shaking. Mama, you evil. You set me up with a married man. Peanut folded her arms. Last time I checked, your daddy ain't here. How else we supposed to pay these bills? Tiffany stared at her. Peanut continued, unbothered. I don't know if you blind or something, but I'm not getting no younger. Who else gonna do it? And just like that, she walked out. No apologies. No comfort. No shame. Just survival. Tiffany stayed in her room for 4 days. She didn't eat much. She didn't talk. She didn't leave the bed. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that contact name glowing on the screen. My wife. She felt dirty, used, tricked, and angry. On the second morning, she woke up nauseous. She ran to the bathroom, throwing up until her throat burned. The next day, it happened again. Peanut noticed. On the fourth day, Peanut walked into the room, holding a small white box. Go in the bathroom, she said, handed Tiffany the pregnancy test. Pee on it. No softness in her voice. No motherly concern. Just instruction. 5 minutes later, Tiffany walked out, slowly, and handed over the test. Peanut looked down. 2 lines. Silence filled the room. Well, Peanut said, flatly, now you pregnant. What you gonna do? Tiffany's hand started to shake. You done messed my money up with Jason. How you gonna take care of that child? I can't have another mouth to feed in here. The word slice.